So if you've been living under a rock the last few days, you probably haven't heard about Anthropic's Mythos. It's the supposedly great AI that's so good it can't be released to the public, and Anthropic is doing its best version of Elon Musk and Sam Altman, i.e. being a carnival barker and overhyping while underselling. They've even went so far that they've created a group called Project Glasswing, where they said is like for the responsible use of this all new powerful AI. This AI, which is so powerful, it cannot be released to the public. But I'm here today to look past the spectacle and tell you exactly what this means. And I'm not going to take a long time doing it. I'm not going to keep you in suspense. I'm going to just tell you right now. This tells me right up front that Google has won. You might say, what? What? How does that make any sense? Well, let me explain very carefully. If you think Anthropic actually had this groundbreaking of a leap of an AI, right? It was this groundbreaking, this good, that they weren't going to release it to the public, then you are absolutely nuts, okay? If it was truly that good. Because if it was truly that good, they would be able to capitalize on it. But the simple fact is that they can't, because it still isn't good enough that the average person is going to pay for it. The simple fact is that when it comes to these AIs, there is a big problem, and it's who is going to pay for them. And Anthropic, despite having an order of magnitude less users than OpenAI, has found out that the people that will pay for its services are corporate clients. So despite being 1/10 the size of OpenAI when it comes to user base, they actually have, the last it was reported, and of course no one knows for sure, but it's estimated that they're pulling in the same amount of revenue, or at least very close to that of OpenAI. And that's because they've gone so hard after the developer and the corporate clients. And so now I want to tell you something. Remember that OpenAI had to close down Sora. And why did they? Well, because Sora was super expensive and nobody was using it. And the simple fact is that when you release these AIs, they consume tons and tons of energy. And energy is just dollars. And so if you have this new AI, and I'm sure it's really good, but what are you going to do? You're just going to release it to the public where they're just going to essentially do nothing with it, and it's just going to burn all kinds of cash, and yet they're still not going to pay for it? Or are you going to say, hey, you know what, corporate world, look how great this is. Look how shiny this is. Maybe you'll want to use it in your environments, right? And pay us. But it's too powerful for the public. That way we don't have to subsidize them. And that's essentially what I see here. Anthropic, like OpenAI, is in a cash crunch as they try to build out servers. You can see here they're expanding with Google, who is a direct competitor. Google, who competes with OpenAI, who competes with Anthropic, offers the best TPUs on the entire market. Their TPUs are custom made for AI and surpass the performance of Vera Rubin and Grace Blackwell. They are the best AI chips in the entire world. And Google does not have to pay the Jensen tax, i.e. Jensen Huang's ginormous 60 to 70% markup on his AI chips. Google doesn't have to pay that. So not only do they have a better performing chip when it comes to AI inferencing and training, but they don't have to pay the Jensen Huang tax on top of it. Oh, and that chip is more efficient, okay? i.e. it uses less watts for the performance you get. Now, as you know, energy is dollars. And so you have your rivals are coming to you to rent your equipment in your cloud. And remember, in the cloud, they're not buying it, they're renting it, they're subsidizing you. So you get to eat your own dog food. You get to use your own, if you're Google, you get to use these TPUs. And then when you have downtime, you rent them out and have other people pay for them. OpenAI and Anthropic do not have this luxury. Not to mention, they don't have the literal fortress of a balance sheet that Google has. Nobody does. And so when I look at this, I actually see this as desperation. Anthropic is unable to release it to the general public, probably because it is a leap forward, but not because they're scared, but because it's consuming tremendous amounts of resource. If you've been on Anthropic lately, you will have noticed that you're seeing constantly, if you're on a free plan, you'll be seeing constantly the limits come up quickly. Like really, you can only ask it about 4 or 5 questions and then all of a sudden you're limited. And that's on a new thread. If you have any kind of chips in the memory or any kind of previous conversation in the context, you're going to consume it even faster than that. And this tells me that they're desperate for money. And this isn't a bad thing. Understand what I'm saying here. Anthropic is realizing, hey, we have to be niche. We have to go after the corporate client. We have to go after developers. They will pay us. But what does that mean? That means that Google is going to win because OpenAI is in the same situation. And the simple fact is that the only person on earth who, well, outside of China, sorry, China is a different subject, but the only person in the West that can go ahead and serve the general public, a true AI servant, and not have to worry about it because they have a stack to subsidize the cost, is Alphabet. Alphabet's the only one that can do that. Alphabet can offer their most powerful models to the public and not have to worry about it. Does that mean that they're going to give us unlimited access? Of course not. But they're never going to restrict it from us. And they're always going to be improving it. Look at Alphabet right now and what it offers across this lineup for free with generous allotment at each standard. Of course, they have higher limits for the people that pay more. But the simple fact is that they aren't desperate for money. Alphabet has one of the best balance sheets in the entire world out of any corporation. Their cash flow is absolutely insane. They're not out there raising funds. I mean, they actually are because corporations like to do that. They like to raise money when it's cheap. But the simple fact is like they're not in any kind of cash crunch. And remember, again, they pay less for their chips, which are better than everyone's else. And then their chips are subsidized by their competitors having to pay them to use their chips. And not to mention that consistently, Alphabet, when it releases its models, they are the best models on the entire market. The Gemma 4 library just released completely open source. Apache license, Apache 2 was the license that was released under. So not a sort of open source, but you can't make money off of it. Completely open sourced, right? And I was looking through it and I've been trying 2 of the models that you can fit on your phone, and I am extremely impressed. Alphabet is hitting every single point of the stack. They're going for edge computing with these smaller models. They're going for open source. They're going after large models. They have multimodal. They have everything. They have the chips, right? They have literally the best TPUs in the market. And so again, when I see this, and I know that Anthropic is teaming up with Google and purchasing multiple gigawatts of their next generation compute off of Google. When I see that Anthropic is saying, oh, we can't release this to the public because it's too powerful. But really, what I see is that there are limits on your usage. They keep reducing and reducing it every single time you use them. People are even complaining about the $100 and $200 plan, how quickly they're running out of credits with that. I see a desperate company, a company that is burning money like crazy and somehow is trying to survive. Like all of these AI companies. Look at what Elon had to do with XAI. He's having to do this weird financial scheming where he's having, his companies buy his own company, and then this company buys the other company and things like that. So that eventually he can go public and offload all the debt to the market. But Google doesn't have to worry about all of that or any of that. Google can offer AI at every single point in their current stack that they have. Their stack that has 8 or 9 apps that have over 1 billion users. They don't need to make money directly only from AI because they already make so much money in other areas. And remember that Google wrote the papers. They literally penned the papers that this entire category is based off of. The attention is all you need in TensorFlow. Those are Google's papers. They invented the modern AI as we know it. And they're dominant in it. So this doesn't mean that Anthropic won't do well. I think Anthropic's going to do great. Oh, and remember that Google's one of the largest early investors in Anthropic. I think Anthropic is going to do great, but I also think that the writing is on the wall. They have seen that they must go after a niche market. They're not going to be in the play to be the dominant personal assistant, because the dominant personal assistant is a completely different category. You're talking about people who have become accustomed to not having to pay for anything. Free Gmail, free search, free maps, free this, free that. And you have to be able to make money in the margins and on the edges. And to do that, you have to have a very wide and broad moat, which Anthropic and OpenAI do not have, but Google does. And so again, that is why I see this as Anthropic saying, yes, Google, you have won. We are going to focus on corporations. We are going to be Linux. We're going after the lucrative corporate market. And we will compete with you there while we have to pay for your hardware. But they're pretty much giving up. Not giving up. I don't want to say they're giving up. But they're understanding that they can't subsidize the general public. And who really can ultimately? Only Google. Only Google has the scale, has the products, has the compute in order to truly subsidize the general public for a AI true assistant. Only Google. That's it. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. All of you out there, have a great day.